So you know Doom. Of course you do. Everyone does. Well, what if we made it spooky? Yeah, no more green man and funny pink monster. We now have...
Ah, what the f***?
You might think I'm lying to you here. You might think I'm doing a little bit of clickbait, but no, Total Chaos was a Doom mod. I even made an entire video about it last year, which you should totally watch after you finish this video. Total Chaos was something really special. I'd never played anything like it. For the longest time, I didn't really get scared of horror games anymore. I was kind of desensitized to it after playing Dead Space for the first time. 13-year-old Ollie was not ready for that. And that's why I'm so excited to see this game go from a simple, but incredibly deep and complex Doom mod into a full-fledged game. Turbo Overkill success must have given someone a little bit more of a budget, huh? Yeah, this game is once again being mostly made by Wodaholic alone, just like the original mod, but he also does have a little bit more in the way of help this time. For instance, they have a new animator on board who's also worked on projects such as Dusk HD, and honestly, I think he's doing God's work in this game. The animations look amazing. I especially love the one where your weapons break. It really adds a bigger feeling of I'm gonna die. The music is also absolutely horrifying, and it perfectly sets the scene for this game. This time around, the music is being created by a team of 3 people, all of which worked on Turbo Overkill. If you enjoy Doom Eternal and other games like that, then I recommend checking that game out. The moment I met the menu for this game, I fell in love with the music. You know a game's gonna be good when even the menu sells the atmosphere. I cannot wait to see what this is like in the final build of the game. Oh, the final game. Yeah, I regret to inform you, but this is currently just a demo. Unfortunately, the game isn't fully out yet, but it is set to come out sometime this year. We just don't have an exact release date yet. Having played the original before this, it didn't really take me that long to get myself through it, apart from the moments where I had to stop and take notes and have a little short break. But if you're a new player, you'll have more than enough to satisfy you here. This is a pretty long demo in all fairness. Now that being said, if you are someone who's played the original game, don't expect just to blast through the game no problem. There's actually a few things here that have been changed and, in my opinion, for the better. First of all, the opening of the game is a little bit longer. We actually get a full cutscene where we arrive on the island, which is nice to see. The entire opening level is familiar, yet different. Jump scares seem to have changed places, which certainly caught me off guard considering I was anticipating the jump scares. And before that certain scary bit, which I'm not going to spoil, there is a puzzle. I did reach out to Wodaholic and ask him a couple questions about the game so I could really get things right in this video. He ended up telling me that there will be more puzzles in this game. The original did have puzzles, but there wasn't a whole lot of them, so I'm really excited to see a couple more in this. The general gameplay has been overhauled a little bit too. The standard of mostly melee combat remains the same, but now some enemies can dodge your attacks, leading to a little bit more careful play. There's also new features to the combat on your end, such as parrying, which as a professional at missing parries in Souls games, I love this. However, my favourite addition to the combat is the one that lets you comedically throw your weapon at an enemy. I had a lot of fun throwing my pickaxe into enemies, and it genuinely got a laugh out of me in a game that I otherwise am petrified by. Ow! Just elbowed the table. Now this is the bit where I talk about things that might be a little bit divisive for fans of the original, but as a fan of the original, I think they're great. First of all, a sort of save room system like in the Resident Evil games is being implemented to this game. The original Doom of course allowed you to save at any point, anywhere, and it led to a lot of what we call save scumming, but this time around, that has been completely eliminated. We now have to find record players to save, similar to the system in Dead Space and newer Resident Evil games. I say newer Resident Evil games because there's some things that I gotta tell you later about the game and I don't want to cause any confusion. At these save areas, you can also find a crafting bench. The whole crafting system seems to be fundamentally the same, but this inclusion may work to make the game a little bit more tense, knowing that you can't just summon a new weapon into your hands on the spot. Again, this is something I asked Wodaholic about, and he told me that the bigger crafts will be limited to stations. However, in the full release you'll be able to craft smaller items such as bandages on the fly. In addition to these save rooms being added, a lot of the game's general world has been altered. In the original, most rooms were locked off behind door loading screens. I assume because of the technical limitation of the Doom engine. This meant that enemies couldn't follow you past these doors, and would just end up gathering up at the door, waiting to get telefragged. Oh. It died. But here, the doors don't act like that. You know, they act like actual doors. So you see that clip I just showed you a second ago? That was from my first playthrough of the original game. I cheesed this area by telefragging that enemy. Yeah, well that door now just remains open, no loading screen, which led to me screaming in terror when I realised I couldn't close the door like I used to. Even though, as far as I'm aware, the enemy couldn't actually get out of that area. Also, can we just take a minute to appreciate how good this game looks? It's running on Unreal Engine 5, and obviously, it's a big step up from the Doom engine. Like, just wow.
Birmingham is a f***ing shithole! I hate the f***ing place!
Now unfortunately, the game did have some performance issues, often dipping below an acceptable frame rate in outside areas, and a bit of stuttering on the inside areas. But this is a demo version of the game, it's not even got a release date yet. But I have no doubt that Wadaholic will address this in the final build. The only real issue I have with the game is the voice of Actually, I'm not gonna say the name, because spoiler, you know. Call him Radio Guy for now. Yeah, so Radio Guy is voiced by someone else here, and I'm not saying he's done necessarily a bad job with it. I mean, it's fine, but I certainly think the old voice was way better.
You have come here to find something. Something we have both desired for a long time. Your presence in this place means you are willing to do what I ask of you.
You've come here to find something. I believe it is something we have both desired for a long time. Your presence in this place means that you are willing to do what I ask of you.
I think the voice added a lot to the mystery of the game and the overall atmosphere. I think it made the game scarier. You didn't know what this voice's motivation was, if it was on your side or not. It having a weird and strange voice made it sound more unfriendly and uncertain, as comparison to hearing American Guy number 147. But once again, I did speak to Wadaholic about this, and he in fact said there'll be an option in the audio menu to change this back to the original, which is something I'm incredibly grateful for, because I think that voice is something that a lot of people associate with this game. You can't really separate them. It's like if you had Halo without Master Chief's voice, it would be weird.
Just one question. What if you miss?
I won't.
Now the final thing I'd like to talk to you about, and I mentioned this when I talked about the save things, is the new game mode. This is a step up from the normal game mode. It's a little bit harder, and it's a little bit more of your traditional survival horror game. Resources are more scarce and enemies hit harder, leading to you avoiding them more often. The save system is now limited and you have to find records to play on the record player to save. Furthermore, each record only works once. Now this is the bit where I get opinionated. If you're an old school survival horror fan, after hearing this, you might want me to get into like a violent accident that I don't come back from, but personally, I don't like limited saves. In any game, ever. Especially one that I want to record a video for. But I do think it's a great inclusion for this game, because I know a lot of people believe that it does add a lot to the game, and I personally, I don't agree with that. But for those people who want that option, then I think it's a great option to have. The only thing I ask is that we have a version of this harder difficulty without the limited saves. I want to play this game on this difficulty just without the limited save option, so I really appreciate that. Like a lot of people, I've got a busy life, and saving when I need to is something that I really appreciate. Now, I'm incredibly excited for the release of this game. I might even stream it like I did with the original, so you can get my full reaction of me getting absolutely terrified. But until then, if you like this video, consider clicking on one of them appearing on screen. Along with that, if you want to support the channel, then all it takes is a like. But if you do want to support me further, then clicking the join button is always a great option, as it benefits both of us. Apart from that though, thank you for watching and have a nice day.